What if Crimea is no longer connected the way Russia promised? Reports are coming in, people are leaving, and questions are exploding online. Did Russia's ONI land bridge just snap? Or is something even bigger unfolding behind the scenes? Stay with us, because what you're about to hear could change how this war is understood. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are diving into a situation that is raising serious questions across global media and defense circles. Reports and online footage suggest growing movement out of Crimea, with residents, officials, and analysts all watching one critical factor closely: Russia's only land bridge connecting Crimea to mainland controlled territory. This corridor has been described as a strategic lifeline, not only for military logistics but also for food, fuel, and civilian movement. Now, speculation is spreading that this route may be under extreme pressure, disrupted, or no longer functioning as intended. While confirmed details remain limited, the perception alone is enough to trigger uncertainty. History shows that when access routes become unreliable, fear spreads faster than facts. People begin making decisions based on risk rather than reassurance. This is why even unconfirmed reports can cause real-world movement. In this video, we will not jump to conclusions or promote panic. Instead, we will examine what the land bridge represents, why its stability matters so much, and why the idea of its failure has such a powerful psychological impact. We will break down the situation step by step, using available analysis, historical context, and expert perspectives. By the end of this video, you will understand why the phrase, mass exodus, is appearing more frequently, and why the question of whether this land bridge has snapped is shaping the next phase of the conflict narrative. To understand why the land bridge matters so deeply, we must first look at how Crimea became dependent on it. Since 2014, Crimea has relied on limited access routes for supplies and movement. Airspace restrictions, naval risks, and infrastructure vulnerabilities have made overland connections increasingly important. The land bridge, stretching through southern territories, has served as the most reliable artery for both civilian needs and military logistics. Fuel convoys, food shipments, construction materials, and reinforcements have all passed through this corridor. Because of this, the bridge is not just a road. It is a symbol of control and continuity. Analysts often describe it as the difference between stability and isolation. When reports emerge suggesting damage, disruption, or pressure on this route, the reaction is immediate. Social media amplifies speculation, satellite images are analyzed frame by frame, and rumors move faster than official statements. Even temporary closures or increased security checkpoints can create the impression of collapse. For civilians living in or near Crimea, perception becomes reality. If people believe access could be cut, they may choose to leave while they still can. This is how movement begins. Not always from confirmed collapse, but from fear of what might come next. Understanding this psychological dimension is critical to understanding why talk of an exodus is gaining traction. The idea of a mass exodus does not necessarily mean empty cities overnight. Instead, it often begins quietly. Families send women and children away first. Businesses move assets. Officials relocate documents. These early signs rarely make headlines, but they are visible to those on the ground. According to analysts, this pattern has appeared repeatedly in conflict zones, where access routes become uncertain. Crimea's situation is unique because of its geography. With limited exits, any disruption magnifies fear. Reports of increased traffic, crowded checkpoints, or rising transport costs can quickly be interpreted as confirmation of the worst-case scenario. At the same time, information warfare plays a role. Competing narratives push exaggerated claims or dismiss real concerns. This creates confusion, making it harder for civilians to assess actual risk. When trust in official messaging erodes, people rely on instinct. Analysts warn that even rumors of a land bridge snapping can have consequences equal to physical damage. Supply shortages may begin as precautionary hoarding. Property prices fluctuate. Insurance becomes unavailable. These economic signals further reinforce the belief that something serious is unfolding. In this environment, movement becomes rational rather than emotional. Leaving early feels safer than waiting. This is how an exodus narrative builds momentum, even before any definitive confirmation of collapse exists. Military analysts are divided on whether the land bridge has truly snapped or is simply under strain. Some point to reports of targeted strikes, infrastructure bottlenecks, and logistical slowdowns as indicators of serious disruption. Others argue that alternative routes and rapid repairs prevent a full collapse. What matters most, however, is not only physical damage, but reliability. A bridge that functions unpredictably may be as dangerous as one that is destroyed. Convoys delayed for hours or days disrupt supply chains. Increased security checks slow movement. These factors create cascading effects. Food deliveries arrive late. Fuel shortages appear. Prices rise. For civilians, these changes are immediate and personal. Analysts emphasize that modern conflicts are not defined solely by territory gained or lost, but by systems stressed beyond their limits. The land bridge represents a system. If it is operating at reduced capacity, pressure builds everywhere else. This is why some experts describe the situation as a slow squeeze rather than a sudden break. The phrase, "just snapped," resonates because it captures fear, but reality may be more complex. Still, complexity does not calm populations. Uncertainty does the opposite. When people cannot predict tomorrow, they plan exits today. This dynamic explains why movement can accelerate even while official channels insist everything is under control. Another factor driving concern is timing. Analysts note that winter logistics, fuel demands, and energy distribution increase reliance on stable routes. Any disruption during high demand periods has amplified consequences. Crimea's infrastructure was never designed for prolonged isolation under modern economic conditions. Water, electricity, and food systems depend on continuous input. When people hear reports questioning the stability of the land bridge, they connect it to memories of past shortages. Collective memory plays a powerful role. Even rumors revive old fears. Additionally, the digital age ensures that images, videos, and unverified claims spread instantly. A single clip of congestion can be interpreted as collapse. A damaged section can be framed as total failure. Context is often lost. Governments attempt reassurance, but reassurance competes with viral content. Analysts describe this as an information saturation effect. Too much conflicting data leads people to trust the most alarming interpretation. This is not irrational behavior. It is a survival response. When stakes involve access to food, medicine, and safety, caution dominates. The land bridge, therefore, becomes more than infrastructure. It becomes a psychological anchor. Once confidence in that anchor weakens, movement follows. This helps explain why even cautious observers acknowledge that something significant is happening, regardless of whether the bridge is fully broken or merely strained. International reactions further influence perception inside Crimea. When foreign media outlets begin discussing evacuation scenarios or potential isolation, local anxiety increases. Even if reports are speculative, their repetition gives them weight. Analysts call this the echo effect. One outlet cites another, and soon a narrative feels established. Diplomatic silence or vague statements can unintentionally reinforce fear. Meanwhile, financial markets respond to risk signals. Insurance premiums rise. Transport companies adjust routes. These invisible shifts send strong messages to residents. People notice when services change. They notice when schedules become unreliable. They notice when officials avoid direct answers. This accumulation of small signals often matters more than any single announcement. Experts stress that mass movement rarely begins because of one dramatic event. It begins when daily life feels fragile. In Crimea's case, the land bridge is central to that sense of stability. As questions grow louder about its condition, stability feels negotiable. Even those who want to stay begin planning contingencies. Bags are packed quietly. Contacts outside the region are called. Options are explored. This stage is difficult to reverse. Once people mentally detach, physical departure often follows. Whether the bridge has snapped or not, the belief that it could fail has already altered behavior. It is also important to separate confirmed facts from strategic messaging. All sides in this conflict understand the power of narrative. Claiming that an opponent's lifeline is failing can demoralize populations and forces. Denying problems can preserve morale. The truth often sits between extremes. Analysts urge viewers to watch patterns rather than headlines. Are supply disruptions increasing? Are repair efforts visible? Are alternative routes expanding or shrinking? These indicators provide more insight than dramatic language. Still, dramatic language dominates online spaces because it spreads faster. This creates a feedback loop. Fear drives clicks. Clicks amplify fear. Within this loop, civilians are caught in the middle. The idea of a snapping land bridge becomes a symbol for loss of control. Symbols move people. Even if infrastructure remains partially functional, symbolic failure can trigger real movement. This is why authorities prioritize appearances as much as repairs. A visible convoy can calm nerves. A publicized inspection can reassure residents. When these signals are absent or overshadowed by alarming reports, fear fills the gap. Understanding this helps explain why Exodus narratives can grow even in the absence of complete collapse. The story becomes larger than the structure itself. Looking ahead, analysts outline several possible scenarios. In one, the land bridge remains functional, but under constant pressure, leading to intermittent shortages and continued outflow. In another, capacity improves, calming fears and slowing movement. A more severe scenario involves prolonged disruption, forcing authorities to rely on less efficient alternatives. Each scenario carries different implications, but all share one element: uncertainty. Uncertainty is the true driver of migration. People can adapt to hardship, but they struggle with unpredictability. Crimea's geography limits flexibility. This magnifies every risk. International observers emphasize that even rumors must be managed carefully to avoid humanitarian consequences. Panic-driven movement strains receiving regions and creates new vulnerabilities. This is why responsible analysis matters. Rather than declaring collapse, analysts recommend monitoring indicators over time. Still, from a civilian perspective, waiting for confirmation may feel dangerous. Leaving early may feel safer. This tension defines the current moment. The question, did the land bridge snap, is less about infrastructure and more about trust. Trust in access, trust in information, trust in the future. When trust erodes, movement accelerates. The broader lesson extends beyond Crimea. Modern conflicts show that infrastructure vulnerability shapes civilian behavior as much as direct violence. Roads, bridges, power lines, and supply routes define security. When these systems appear fragile, populations respond. Analysts studying past conflicts note similar patterns in cities that were never fully besieged yet experienced mass departures. Perception preceded reality. In this case, the land bridge represents connection to normalcy. Questioning its stability questions normal life itself. This is why the story resonates globally. Viewers recognize how quickly stability can feel conditional. The phrase, "only land bridge," amplifies that fear. Redundancy creates confidence. Singularity creates vulnerability. Crimea's reliance on one main corridor concentrates risk. Whether that risk materializes fully or not, its existence influences decisions. This understanding should encourage careful consumption of information. Sensational claims may attract attention, but can deepen anxiety. Balanced analysis acknowledges risk without declaring inevitability. As viewers, understanding these dynamics helps separate emotional reaction from strategic reality. The situation remains fluid, and conclusions should remain provisional. What is clear is that the conversation itself is shaping outcomes. As we conclude, it is important to return to the central question without exaggeration. Did Russia's only land bridge just snap? At this moment, definitive confirmation remains elusive. What is undeniable, however, is that confidence in its reliability is under strain. That strain alone is enough to drive movement, alter behavior, and reshape narratives. A mass exodus does not require total collapse. It requires fear that tomorrow may be worse than today. Crimea appears to be at that psychological threshold. How events unfold next will depend on infrastructure resilience, information management, and the lived experience of civilians. Small changes will matter. Clear communication will matter. Stability will matter. We will continue monitoring this situation carefully, separating verified developments from speculation. If you found this analysis helpful and want updates as this story evolves, make sure to stay connected with the channel. Understanding complex situations requires patience, context, and critical thinking. Thank you for watching, and if you want more deep dive analysis like this, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments below.